Capricorn, welcome to your general reading for the end of October, and there's going to be a new moon in your 11th house in Scorpio on the 30th, and that is the house of hopes and wishes. I read somewhere that is the luckiest house. So with a new moon there, maybe there will be a new beginning in something that you've wanted. Maybe something that you've wanted will come through for you, or you're going to start a new period that you're going to attain that thing. Or it could have to do with friendships and groups. Maybe you're going to join a new group or make a new friend. Things of that nature. So let me shuffle the cards some more and never a dull moment with Capricorn, right? Oops. Okay. Alrighty. Let me put these a little far apart. Okay, this is the overall energy. The Five of Wands. So this is a card of competition. In the workplace, this is like a dog-eat-dog environment. It doesn't have to be really, necessarily that stressful. It could be invigorating for some of you, but I do feel like there is possibly a less than peaceful connotation to it because of the past tense. The recent past, we have the Ten of Swords, which is really about ending a cycle that was painful, and it's kind of like the last gasp of that. So in the workplace, that would be a situation where somebody betrayed you, maybe multiple people did. The first thing that comes to mind are coworkers that maybe they're jealous. Capricorns are really those kinds of people that the rest of us kind of can be quite envious of, because you really tend to be, you're made for that environment. Capricorn rules the 10th house of career. So Capricorns tend to come across as very solid citizens in the workplace, and they tend to rise. They want to rise. Capricorn is a very ambitious sign. So along the way, you encounter people that may be envious of your natural abilities in the workplace, and they are, gunning for you in some way. They're trying to sabotage you, maybe, and that may have led to like a current situation where you feel like you're fighting for your position and trying to prove yourself. Along with that, we have the energy of the Knight of Wands. So this can relate specifically to a Sagittarian, but in general, it could be connected to all the fire signs, like Aries as well as Leo. That person may be of assistance to you. It could be that you are embodying the spirit of the Knight of Wands, which is kind of like not being like the typical Capricorn that you are, not being so cautious, and maybe being a little bit more I was going to say not being so careful in what you do. Maybe, typically you're very cautious because you want to make sure that you don't step on anybody's toes and that you're doing everything by the book. And maybe because of your past experiences at this particular job, you're just ready to do whatever it takes. And if that means that you have to, put on your helmet and fight for what's right, what's yours, what's rightfully yours, you're going to do it. And, whatever come what may, you're not worried about the outcome. You're very brave, in other words. Now, in a context of a personal relationship, there could have been some kind of extramarital or, I just think of somebody who was cheating. It doesn't have to be a married partner, but somebody who was cheating, a sense of betrayal, and you competing, getting in that ring and competing, and maybe even sometimes this card can indicate an affair. So maybe it's like, well, I'm trying to get back my partner, so I'm going to have an affair to make them jealous or something like that. I mean, it could be anything. It's like all's fair in love and war, that type of mentality. And the higher message, I think that's important to consider, is the Three of Pentacles. So back to the career context, this would indicate that somebody is trying to build something, and they're doing quite well so far. It also talks about collaboration. So, because this is Pentacles, it is a very practical, it's associated with building a business, building a career. And I feel like also that there's a spirit of teamwork involved. So maybe you have to, ooh, that light went off. Okay. There's okay. Maybe you have been, maybe everybody's been so selfish and they're trying to, get something for themselves that they're not working together, and that's why they're clashing. Maybe you have to be the bigger person and try to get people on the same page if they're all in it for themselves and trying to step all over people to get what they want. In order to really make it happen, there has to be teamwork. It could also be just saying that this is something, maybe this is just a passing conflict, but you're on the right track with whatever job it is. Maybe, if you were ever briefly considering leaving the job, maybe that was premature. And actually it's telling you that this is a good place to be. It's just that for right now, there's a lot of people trying to vie for the position or try to take it from you if you already have that position. In a personal relationship, that Three of Pentacles can be talking about, again, three parties involved. An earth sign individual might be the person who is a good person to be connected to, somebody who is a positive influence. Maybe it's not on the romance front. So that could be another Capricorn, but also it could be a Taurus or a Virgo. And it also could mean that you have to look at, is this, whatever it is that you're thinking is so important, is this going to give you what you want in terms of a very good, viable foundation, or are you risking it with this relationship? Is this relationship worthy of the long term? Because this is the Architect's card, and this is a card of building, and if there's not a sense of strength at the foundation, it's not going to withstand the test of time. The card that crosses you is the Wheel of Fortune, so this is like a reverse card. So it's really it's funny because, you know, I don't even think in the reverse position it would be a bad card or too much of a challenge. Maybe it's really saying that you have to be careful not to rest on your laurels. Maybe you have been really having a lot of success lately. You know, in spite of, it seems like some challenges, some serious challenges. But, you know, maybe you just kind of take things for granted, and you have to be grateful because this is like a very good period of time for you. And in order to do so, you have to really apply yourself and make sure that you're able to, oh yeah, you know, I was just thinking, I was looking back and thinking, okay, what's Capricorn's 10th house? Well, your 10th house, I believe, is Libra, is it not? Yeah, it is. So you just had Jupiter go into Libra in September. So, or was it October? No, it was September. So you're going to have a year of Jupiter being in your natural house, the 10th house of career. So this will create expansion for you in this area. But don't take it for granted, because you may be having a lot easier time manifesting these kinds of things, because you may become a bit like the Nine of Cups, and you may be a little bit too full of yourself, and that can lead you to not try as hard as you can. You know, just because Jupiter goes into that house doesn't mean that you shouldn't continue to push forward. Definitely, you know, think of the long term and be very deliberate about your actions, and make sure that you take advantage of everything by being active about it, not by just waiting for it to come in. Although, you know, I take that back, because that's going to be one of the things that you have to do. And actually, Capricorns sometimes are a little bit too, if it's possible to be too proactive, you can be. Sometimes you try to control things too much. So it has to be a perfect balance between letting go and also taking inspired action. The advice is the Page of Cups. This is a card that I associate with creativity. I associate with Pisces, but it's all the water signs. It can relate to children, but it can relate to a message that is heartfelt. But it could be that you need to communicate with somebody in a heartfelt way. If you are dealing with relationship issues, maybe you need to kind of be the one that humbles yourself, that is very open, almost like a child, and just say how you feel. Just say, you know, that really hurt me. Not to manipulate, to guilt somebody, but really to explain it. Because you will feel better if you are able to convey exactly what they did to you, rather than playing the victim, which is merely, you know, complaining to other people about what happened. The Ten of Swords activity, that person who did you wrong. In the professional sense, the Page of Cups might mean that you need to meditate more. Maybe you're trying to be too practical with the Three of Pentacles. You're too much into the world and too linear, and now you need to kind of like, in order to be more creative, you need to tap into your creativity. And you know, sometimes I feel like with the Pentacles, it's like elbow grease almost. It's like putting in that actual physical energy into it. But also the creative or the spiritual part needs to be represented as well. I didn't realize this, because I've always been a creative person in terms of, you know, art. But then I read somewhere that entrepreneurs are creative people, and I thought that was very interesting. I never thought of somebody who starts a business as being creative, but yeah, that is true. And so maybe, you know, you need to in order to really be successful in whatever it is that you're building. And by the way, as the higher message, this might be even suggesting that you build something yourself. Maybe now it would involve other people, but if you're having too much conflict in the workplace, then you might have to enlist people that are much more cooperative, much more sympathetic to what it is that you're trying to do. And maybe that's something you need to do on your own. And the Page of Cups is just about being that open channel of intuition to be able to receive messages, to be able to help you to build a business, to help you guide you in your relationship matters, whatever is happening, whatever kind of storms that you have endured, so that you can make the proper choices. And it could be that there's a water sign person that is perfect for you, that you need to get back in contact with. Maybe they've contacted you and you were too busy dealing with either a fire sign. I could definitely see Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, as I mentioned with that particular Knight of Wands. But maybe in the past it was actually an air sign. So it was a Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. And maybe this water sign person is a lot less full of drama, and so maybe you kind of think, oh, they're going to be kind of boring. But they are the right person for you, because the drama isn't really what you needed. I don't think anybody needs drama. So the water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. The outcome is the Hangman. So it's kind of like you may feel like you're in limbo. You might feel like things are not progressing, but they may be doing so behind the scenes. You may have to sometimes, believe it or not, I think when you just let go and you stop trying to control, then things come about just almost by magic. They start to progress. But people are so busy trying to control the outer world that they create more resistance. They create more energy butting up against it, so that the energy can't flow very freely. So you might see that once you let go, that everything falls into place for you, Capricorn. So I hope you enjoyed this brief look at the end of the month. And if you would like a private reading where I actually use your natal chart to look at some of these issues, like love and career, as well as other readings that I offer, please click on the link below. Otherwise, have a great rest of October. Bye!